Before humans, before mammals, before anything with an opinion existed, nature was already busy making mistakes. Not cute, fuzzy mistakes. We're talking about things that looked like nightmares doodled by a sleep-deprived god. Now, you see, evolution doesn't design. It experiments. It doesn't care about beauty, balance, or logic. It's more like a mad scientist mixing chemicals in a thunderstorm yelling, "Let's see what happens if I give this shrimp 30 eyes and laser-guided claws." Around 540 million years ago, during the Cambrian explosion, life went on a creativity binge. The oceans turned into a biotech lab. Every creature was an experiment in survival. Some genius, most disasters. Some had mouths on both ends. Others wore armor so heavy they couldn't move. Nature was clearly drunk on its own power. Amid the chaos, there were successes. Terrifying ones. Meet Anomalocaris, the abomination shrimp. A meter-long arthropod with rotating mouthplates, hunting soft-bodied prey like it invented nightmares. Or Opabinia, the five-eyed vacuum cleaner of the sea, using a trunk-like nozzle to suck up lunch. And the mighty Hallucigenia, named because even paleontologists weren't sure which way was up. When scientists can't tell your head from your butt, you know evolution went a bit off script. But here's the thing, those freaks didn't fail. They set the stage. Every creature alive today, sharks, whales, humans, can trace their ancestry back to these weird prototypes. We're backed away, the descendants of nature's unfinished art project. Proof that sometimes the universe rewards persistence, more than intelligence. So if you've ever wondered why your spine hurts, or your body feels like an engineering mistake, remember, it is. You're the latest version of a 4 billion year beta test. The ocean, nature's original laboratory. Billions of years before we showed up to pollute it, this was where evolution went full mad scientist. No rules, no ethics board, just a lot of teeth, and very poor decision-making. Let's start 500 million years ago, when the ocean looked less like Finding Nemo and more like a biological fever dream. Creatures like Anomalocaris, basically a shrimp with anger issues and a circular saw for a mouth, ruled the waves. Scientists call it an early apex predator. I call it proof that evolution sometimes forgets the concept of mercy. And these poor trilobites, they spent millions of years evolving armor, only to end up as fossilized appetizers. This was a lot of to fast forward to the Devonian, the age of fish, or as I prefer to call it, the age of bad ideas that could bite your head off. Take Dunkleosteus, a 10-meter armored nightmare with jaws that could slice through bone like butter. Scientists estimate its bite force at over 8,000 pounds. Imagine a great white shark, then imagine that shark built like a tank and having serious daddy issues. But evolution wasn't done yet. Oh no, it wanted to make things bigger, meaner, and somehow dumber. Enter the Mesozoic era, where reptiles said, "Hey, what if we fly underwater?" Meet Mosasaurus, the ultimate proof that nature sometimes double majors in chaos and violence. 60 feet long, double-hinged jaws, and the kind of smile you'd expect from someone who just enjoys eating family members. Evolution clearly loved the ocean. It just didn't know when to stop. Some creatures grew fins that became legs. Some legs became fins again. It was a full-blown identity crisis spanning millions of years. College, From all that carnivorous chaos came something gentle. The whales. Peaceful giants, born from the same genetic roulette that once gave us Dunkleosteus. So, next time you see a whale, remember, it's a distant cousin of the sea monsters that once made the ocean the scariest place on Earth. Then your life and long and wordled will, it didn't just walk, it strutted. Evolution looked at land and said, let's make something huge, toothy, and emotionally unstable. And oh boy, did it deliver. When the Fivic years, our first contestant, ticked-a-licked. Half fish, half lizard, and all confusion. It had fins that were kind of legs, and lungs that were kind of gills. Evolution's way of saying, I have no idea what I'm doing, but let's roll with it. It had forward a few 100 million years, and land is now a theater of monsters. The Triassic and Jurassic weren't about balance or beauty. They were about one-upmanship. Who could be the biggest, loudest, or scariest thing alive? It not worked, but against a liver of silhouettes. Take Allosaurus, the prehistoric psychopath with teeth designed for dismembering everything smaller than it. Or Spinosaurus, who couldn't decide if it was a crocodile, a heron, or just a bad idea. Evolution just threw everything at the wall. Claws, sails, horns, to see what looked cool in the fossil record. Take Allosaurus, the terror birds, nature's reminder that you don't need wings to be horrifying. Titanus walleri, a 2-meter-tall, 150-kilo murder ostrich that chased prey across prehistoric Florida. Imagine being hunted by a giant bird with the confidence of a bouncer and the personality of a velociraptor. Titanus slamming beak into prey. These were creatures that ruled continents, until inevitably they didn't. Evolution, in its infinite wisdom, made each apex predator so specialized, so perfect for one environment, that when things changed, they couldn't. The Deathinity didn't kill all the monsters. Some simply evolved downward, smaller, smarter, subtler, because nature learned a valuable lesson. Brute force is impressive, but adaptability wins the long game. And that's why, after hundreds of millions of years of glorious, blood-soaked experimentation, one of evolution's last surviving dinosaurs is currently stealing fries at your local beach. When the dinosaurs went extinct, it wasn't the end. It was a reset button. The old monsters died, and nature decided to reinvent the formula. This time, smaller, warmer, furrier. Less terrifying lizard god, more sweaty overachiever. Welcome to the Mammalian Revolution, the sequel nobody expected. Starring creatures with too much curiosity and not enough sense of danger. We have to do important this charming fellow is Andrewsarchus, basically evolution's attempt at a land whale with anger issues. It's what happens when nature crosses a wolf, a hippo, and the concept of overcompensation. This teeth, scientists think Andrewsarchus could crush bone with one bite. Its skull alone was almost a meter long, because apparently subtlety wasn't part of early mammal design. And speaking of questionable ideas, let's talk about whales. With legs. Meet Basilosaurus, the 15-meter sea serpent that was technically a mammal. Yes, this aquatic nightmare breastfed its young and had tiny, useless back legs. Like evolution wanted to make a shark but got distracted halfway through. This parters was proof that the take that evolution sometimes forgets to delete old code. And yet somehow, these swimming mammals gave rise to today's gentle whales, living proof that even bad prototypes can spawn masterpieces. Nothing this week. Then came the age of predators again. Smilodon, the saber-toothed cat. A majestic killer, until its ecosystem collapsed and it discovered that elegance doesn't pay the bills. It had precision-engineered fangs and zero adaptability. The ultimate proof that evolution is not survival of the fittest, but survival of the least ridiculous. And finally, the primates, nature's latest test build. Agile, clever, occasionally violent, but with a spark of curiosity that no other creature had. They didn't just survive, they started asking questions. Like, what if we use this stick? And later, what if we burn down the entire forest? This time lapse from apes to Homo erectus lighting fire. By the end of this revolution, evolution had done the impossible. It made something that could imagine, plan, and regret. The monsters were gone, but their ghosts lived inside us, in every instinct to dominate, to conquer, to survive. Nature didn't stop experimenting. It just switched subjects. After billions of years of trial and error, extinction and rebirth, evolution finally sculpted something that could ask questions. Us. The latest in a long line of biological prototypes. We like to think of ourselves as the pinnacle of design, but let's be honest, we're just the latest patch update. Inside that eye, the same photoreceptor cells used by the earliest fish. The same retinal wiring that once stared out from the dark of prehistoric seas. When you blink, you're closing the same evolutionary eyelid that shielded Tiktaalik from the mud. Where muscles still remember the sprint of Titanus, the patience of Smilodon, the hunger of Andrewsarchus, we inherited the rage, the fear, and the cunning, polished them with language, and gave them office jobs. Same brain chemistry. Different prey. Even our emotions are echoes of survival tactics. Love began as parental instinct, fear as a lizard's reflex. Curiosity, the one glitch that never got fixed, pushed apes to pick up stones, and humans to split atoms. It's poetic, really. The creatures that crawled from slime to survive storms, built machines to recreate them. Every skyscraper is a coral reef reborn in steel. Every war, a pack hunt with better marketing. And every social hierarchy, just a cleaner version of the food chain. We are not separate from the monsters that almost ruled. We are them, refined, disguised, but still driven by the same ancient blueprint. Evolution didn't take a wrong turn, it just kept driving. Right into consciousness. And maybe that's the most terrifying thing it ever created. So here we are, the grand finale. 4 billion years of mutation, extinction, and adaptation. And evolution finally produced something that doesn't need to wait for random chance anymore. We learned to edit the code, to replace survival of the fittest with survival of the smartest. Or at least, the most overconfident. We can resurrect species, build synthetic brains, grow meat without animals. And yet, we still argue over whose invisible friend made the universe. Truly, the most complex organism evolution ever built, and the only one that can invent its own extinction in HD. We've become evolution's final experiment, a creature that can rewrite the rules, but can't agree on what the new rules should be. Nature spent eons perfecting trial and error. We replaced it with trial and marketing. If this is the last mutation, then it's not a monster or a god. It's just us, halfway between both, trying to remember what it meant to be alive. We learned to split the atom, but not the difference. To cure disease, but not loneliness. To reach the stars, but not understand ourselves. So maybe evolution's greatest trick wasn't creating intelligence, it was giving it the power to end the story. Or maybe it's just waiting for the sequel. So, what do you think? Did evolution end with us, or just take a coffee break? Either way, hit subscribe for alternate realities. Let's see what nature's sequel looks like.